back to History Class with Dr. W. We're continuing our discussion of the Great Depression, and in this lecture we're going to be talking about the realm of international sports, the Olympics, and some of the biggest American sports stars on the global scene. So the Depression years were highlighted by the 1932 and 1936 Olympics, which established traditions of pageantry and athletic achievement that continue today. The United States actually hosted the 1932 Winter Games, which were held in Lake Placid, New York, and the Summer Games in Los Angeles. Those games, despite the Depression, surpassed all previous Olympics in splendor and expense, as the city went deep into debt to hide all signs of the Depression. Organizers constructed an elaborate village to house the athletes and staged a stunning opening ceremony. At those games, the nation was introduced to Babe Didrikson Zaharias, perhaps the finest female athlete of the 20th century, who set world records in the javelin throw and the 80-meter hurdles at those Olympics, and matched the world record in the high jump, only to finish second in that event. She went on to have an incredible career in basketball and particularly golf, and she also excelled in exhibitions of many other games such as bowling, swimming, football, and baseball. She is regarded by many as the top female athlete of all time. The 1936 Olympics were held in Germany. Only after a long and bitter struggle to boycott the Nazi Olympics ended in failure did American athletes sail for Europe. In an effort to demonstrate the superiority of the German intellect and body, Hitler authorized a spectacle to that point unmatched in Olympic history. The city of Berlin received a facelift for the Summer Games, and the Germans improved on innovations that had been introduced in Los Angeles 4 years earlier. Nazi athletic superiority suffered a blow, however, as the unquestioned star of the Games was the black American athlete Jesse Owens. Owens won 4 gold medals in the 100 and 200 meter sprints, the long jump, and the 4x100 relay. His outstanding achievements, coupled with the medal-winning efforts of other black track stars, such as Cornelius Johnson in the high jump, Ralph Metcalfe in the 100 meters, and Mac Robinson in the 200 meters, dealt a serious blow to the myth of Aryan supremacy. These Olympians comprise only a small part of a group of black athletes that marked many achievements during the 1930s. Joe Louis, boxing's Brown Bomber, became the heavyweight champion in 1935 by knocking out the Italian Primo Carnera. Lewis's bouts against Max Schmeling, the German champion, became a showcase for the battle between democracy and Nazism. The German won their first fight in 1936, knocking out Louis in the 12th round. The rematch, held in Yankee Stadium on June 22, 1938, was an even greater spectacle. The match itself didn't live up to its hype, as Louis won easily with a knockout in the first round. But Americans, and particularly black Americans, were thrilled by his victory. While Owens and Louis achieved national fame by besting the Nazis, hundreds of other black athletes toiled in near anonymity in the black baseball leagues. Negro League baseball games were an important social event in the black community, and they provided not only entertainment to a group largely at the bottom of the economic ladder, but also a source of hope for escaping the Depression. The black ball players brought their game to cities across the country throughout the 1930s, frequently barnstorming against and defeating all white teams. They played quality baseball, emphasizing speed and smart base running over power. And several of the stars of the 1930s ultimately reached baseball's Hall of Fame. Some of the top players of the era were James Cool Papa Bell, Josh Gibson, Leroy Satchel Paige, Walter Buck Leonard, and Ray Dandridge. In the next lecture about sports in the Depression, we'll talk about the New Deal and its impact on sports, and the popularization of mass participation in sports.